We're back at Automobilista 2. I'm Mooney GT, and today we're going to be testing out the new AMS2 update. I'm pretty excited about this one. There are a lot of changes posted having to do with AI and force feedback and physics. And one of the things that really caught my eye was the statement about how they're changing the brake torque curve for cars. One of my biggest complaints with AMS2 has been how the brakes respond, it just never felt quite right to me. I don't know if I have my settings wrong or if it's my particular pedals or what, but I could never really brake confidently in some of the cars, especially in the Ultima, which is a car that I've been really wanting to drive in AMS2. So we've got the new update loaded, and we're going to do a quick 15-minute sprint race at Donington and see how the Ultima performs. Looks like we're starting in the back of the grid. I really like this Ultima car, in part because of this crazy paint scheme. And it just, I mean, it's a good looking car. Whoop, alright. The AI is quite happy to go in a line and start. That's not the best first impression of AMS2 AI. I don't know what they updated exactly, but this is a car that feels very alive, and I can already tell you the force feedback just feels that much better than it did in the previous update. It's just a lot more subtle in a good way. Before it felt, I think maybe disconnected is the right word. To me it didn't feel, just didn't feel very genuine. I don't know what other vague, non-descriptive words I can use to describe it. Force feedback is such a personal preference to begin with. It's kind of hard to put into words how it is, but ooh, that sun's pretty blinding. But now the force feedback to me does just feel that little bit more accurate, kind of just what I would expect. This is the first race that I've done with the update. Last night I did jump in real quick just to do some testing to see how the physics were behaving. I drove this car briefly, the V10 Formula 1 car. Oh, I finally tried the Caterham 620R, and man, that thing's nuts. I want to like that car because in real life I really appreciate lightweight. That's why my favorite car has to be the Miata, just because it's so much fun and so accessible. But anyways, the Caterham's a madman. It just doesn't want to do anything. But if you haven't driven the Caterham, you should go give it a shot, because it's a laugh, but it is not a precision tool. And I need to start paying attention and see if we can't catch up to these cars. But yeah, I can already tell you, I mean, my instant impression is that this is dramatically better than before. As far as the physics feel, force feedback, and the brakes, I can actually use my brakes without fear. I kept feeling like I had to be super gentle on the brakes in the previous patches, and now I feel like I can use the brakes, as intended. I mean, going down a straightaway at high speed, my initial brake application, I should be able to get pretty hard on the brakes. Or maybe I need to back up the brakes a little bit. They do still feel a little bit grabby when I just broke at the end of that straightaway. Oh, a minute ago, just a light touch. Just a light, okay, maybe two light touches. But this feels so much better. And I tried to record some races in the Ultima before, and honestly, oh, big touch. Well, he was in my way. I didn't feel comfortable enough to drive that car in any kind of competitive way. I wouldn't have been able to lightly ram that car off the track with the brakes the way they were before. It would have been a much more violent impact, which just isn't what I'm after. I really need to be able to delicately ram cars off tracks. It's a precision ram that I'm after. And I really feel like this patch has enabled precision ramming. No, but jokes aside, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm really glad that I bought AMS2 early on, because it's been really interesting and fun to see how dramatically this game can change. And it says so much about Risa's commitment and capabilities to have moved AMS2 along to this point that they have now. And it's also kind of an indictment of other developers who just haven't made this kind of progression in years or months that, you know, Risa's done in really short order. So if you go back and watch some of my earlier AMS2 videos on the channel, you will see that I had full faith in them from the beginning that these are the kinds of things that we would be getting from them. And it's happened in honestly much quicker time than I thought it would. All that to say, if you're still on the fence about AMS2, you shouldn't be. You really shouldn't. Whoa, that was scary. See, look how I was able to catch that little wiggle there. Force feedback's working really well. But if you're on the fence about AMS2, I really think you should pick it up. It's got the engine from Project Cars 2, which everyone loves and is just drooled over from the eye candy standpoint, with physics that are better and developers who know what they're doing and will continue to develop that content. So it really, you really can't go wrong. I think one little complaint I have remaining about AMS2 at the moment, and it could be user error. I don't want to dismiss that it could just be me. I have not been able to figure out how to make this HUD do what I want it to do. I feel like maybe I've seen other people's HUDs on YouTube that have more information and have the information that you would want. I probably just am not understanding how to customize the HUD layout and get everything up here. I'd like to see the positions of the cars on the field and a better indication of you know, my deltas to the cars in front of me and stuff, but and to be fair, I haven't spent much time playing with it, but it's not something that was readily fixable for me. I guess I've just gotten used to HUDs in like ACC and Race Room, and I want more information all the time, I guess. Okay, well let's try to focus a bit. We're about halfway through this race. I have, in typical fashion, been yapping away and not turning the best laps that I can. Let's see if we can turn this into an exciting race. We're in 12th place at the moment. I don't guess it's probably reasonable to think we could get to a podium. The other thing is I'm finally starting to get used to my brake pedals, I think. I've had these for, gosh, at least a month. I can't remember, these T-LCM pedals. And it just kind of clicked the other day when I did my ACC race in the rain at Laguna Seca. In that race, I was finally able to really consciously play with the brake pressure, especially like if you go watch when I'm like coming down the hill after turn 1 into the hairpin. I felt like I was actually able to modulate the brakes a little bit to try to negotiate a pass, you know, and just squeeze out that last little bit of position before we get into the turn. And I feel like I'm finally starting to get comfortable doing that. And even in AMS2 right now with these brake changes, I feel like on some of the ends of these straightaways, I'm able to modulate the brakes a bit, where I hadn't been doing that for the first. Oh, no. Whew. I hadn't been able to do that initially. I really like this Donington track too. It's not a track I have familiarity with. I can't recall if I have this in any other sims, but I spent a little bit of time in AMS2 in it, and I'm enjoying it. God, the lighting effects in this game are so good, but it's sure is hard to see. It does seem like the Ultima requires you to be nice and smooth with your inputs. which I like. This is a rewarding car to drive. It's not... So, like for example, in Race Room, I really love the DTM cars. And sure, to be fast in any car, you have to be precise and smooth and deliberate. But the DTM car has so much downforce that it's pretty hard to upset the car. This car, oh, see, is much more delicate on that on that front and requires precision and smoothness. And it's rewarding to drive a car like that. It's, I wouldn't say this is a nervous car, oh, but it's just north of nervous. It's just not a, it's not a sledgehammer car. It's a little bit more of a scalpel. And if you enjoy, oh, there it goes, no, we threw it. Oh dear. Oh! Okay. Well, there it was. There's the scalpel nature of it. We only lost 3 places. We got 4.5 minutes to go. We'll see if we can't get back a place or 2. Something I haven't quite figured out yet in AMS2 is what happens to your tires when you go off. In the last month or 2, Race Room has updated its tire model so that when you go off track, the tires are extremely slippery for, you know, for a little while until you've scrubbed them off, which is great. AMS2 doesn't seem to be that extreme. If there is slippery tires from going off, it is much more subtle, and maybe I just need some more time with this new update. Oh, okay. I guess I'm going I'm a little timid now because I had that spin. Wow. It does move around just enough at the limit that it's... Oh! Maybe a little more front brake bias. I think the Ultima heard me say that it wasn't that intimidating to drive, or it wasn't quite a nervous car. I was like, oh really? How about this? How about I throw one of these at you? Oh, boy, he's making up a hard charge. A little tap from behind. I think I set the time progression to 2 on this. And we started the race at 1700, which is 5 p.m. But I'm just with each update Riza has put out, I am more and more convinced that what I've said all along, that this is going to be one of the premier VR sim racing titles because it's so pretty and it runs so well. I'm getting just beautifully smooth frame rates with all of this eye candy on. And honestly, I think I've got some more headroom. And what I'm going to do next, I think, to play with the VR settings is probably try to turn up my super sampling a little bit. Because as far as visual effects go, I can't recall what I have turned off or on. And if anyone's interested in seeing my VR settings, let me know, and I can probably do a video for that like I did for ACC. But right now, it runs so well. I mean, for anyone who's tried to run ACC in VR knows how difficult it is. It's a very demanding game, and I had to spend, let off the brakes there. Oh, wow. Okay, so the back end got really light there into braking, so we're going to go forward a bit more. Am I going backwards? I think I went backwards. Maybe, oh, no. Yep. No. I think I've got my buttons backwards or something. Oh dear. And there's 20th. I think earlier when I thought I was moving the brake bias to the front, I think it went more rearward. So the problems just got worse. Yikes. And it didn't help that the sun was blinding me and I missed my brake point. Well, with a minute to go, this is going to be 1 or 2 more laps. James, if you're watching, this has just become a not last challenge, and I'm quite far behind 19th, so I don't know if we can get there. Head down though. We'll give it a shot. I know I need to get farther to the left there, but the car just feels that little bit unstable. And I'm afraid if I try to push it to get over to the right side of the track there, that it'll just upset the balance of the car and I'll regret it. And hopefully I can find these brake points in all of this glare. I think, yeah, braking at the start of the curbing is too soon. I gotta find the brake point for that. Well, James, I'm sorry I failed you. We are going to be last. Well, I may be last on track, but AMS2 is quickly becoming one of my favorites in all of sim racing. This is so good. Oh, we get one more lap. All right. The not last challenge survives. All right. I think it's about time to update the AMS2 multi-class challenge and see if it can handle Copatrex V8 supercars, shifter cards, and the Formula Ultimate. I had a lot of fun making that video, and I wonder if the AI now is to a point where it can a little bit handle that just a little bit better. And I know it's a ludicrous thing to do, but it's just kind of a showcase to see how smart the AI is. Yeah, I think the brake balance feels a little bit better now. Oh man, the not last challenge is live. Oh. I was curious if he would just open the door for me and leave it open. He did not. One more chance. Keep it tight, 8. Oh, we did it! We did it, James! And more importantly, we ran all of the laps in the race. That's usually a top tip. Well, that was great. I have to say that this is, for me, has been by far the most substantial update to AMS2. The physics feel much improved. The force feedback feels that much more genuine and just kind of delicate. And the brakes, I think that's probably the best part for me, is that the brakes now just feel a lot better, a lot more easy, a lot easier to modulate, which is a great thing. But I'm Mooney GT. Thanks for stopping by and checking out the new AMS2 update. We'll see you next time.